Hi, it's Will from StormTheCastle.com. And here on YouTube, you know me as what? Epic Fantasy, that's right. And this is my latest tutorial. This is Storm the Castle Diorama Part 5. The big 8 foot by 4 foot diorama of a castle sieging scene. Coming along really nice. And in this part, we paint the buildings, we do some of the smaller buildings, we start adding detail to the castle layout. As you can see, it's starting to look really nice. So that's what we do in this video. Let me talk a little bit about the channel. This is the YouTube channel with the dragon. That's El Guapo. If you want to click on that video, you can learn more about El Guapo. I do 2 new videos every week. Lots of fun and creative stuff. How you can make things, from weapons to blacksmithing to origami to, well, you'll see in the introductory video. So thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. If you're not a subscriber, hit that button wherever it may be. More stuff coming. Let's do it. Dioramas, origami, catapults, and treasure stays, telescopes, terrariums, bonsai trees, and paper games, swords and shields, and real blacksmithing, model rockets, animation. I teach the art of real creation. StormTheCastle.com. Let's make something. Okay, first let's take a look at where it was before we start this part. Right about here. We had built most of the major shapes and carved them out of foam. Got the design and layout of the building correct, the way we wanted it, and kind of put everything together just to get a look at it and rearrange things. So now we're going to set everything in, almost everything in place in terms of the castle. And to do that, we start doing all the painting. We make sure just about everything is painted, including the base colors of the ground. Like that's the outer courtyard is a sand color. And then we do some sealing, like the cracks in the moat are sealed because we're going to actually have a liquid water in there, not real water, acrylic water. Now we're going to start assembling all the different pieces together. And I'm using just regular old joint compound here for this. That's the kind of stuff you do plaster work with. So we put the pieces together now. An important thing to notice here is we're starting from the deepest part of the diorama first and slowly working our way out. You know, we can't, it's difficult to work on the outside, then all the parts will be in the way when you want to get at the inside. So we start on the inside, the deepest part, and work our way out slowly. So after the joint compound is dried, you can sand everything down to kind of smooth it out, but you don't want it perfect. Having a little bit of that joint compound actually looks good on the plaster walls. And then as everything's compounded together, we'll paint it. See? So now that we get room to work inside that inner courtyard there, we're going to start doing the actual painting of the various walls. And we do that in several stages. We're going to use a gray paint and add a little bit of white to it. And then we're going to dry brush that on like this. And dry brushing is where you put some paint on the brush but wipe most of it off and then gently brush over it like that. What it does is it doesn't completely paint it, it just kind of leaves highlights. And we do that in several stages. We do several stages of gray, adding a little bit more white to each stage. And then finally with a little bit of brown color like this to give it an aged look. See, so now that inner courtyard is done, painted, we can start to work on the buildings. You know, we'll place them, we'll do them and place them in there, and I'll show you that. Show you some of this process. Same thing with the buildings. Joint compound in the various cracks and creases, and even in some random spots because it looks really good. And once that is dried, just a little bit of sanding, and then we paint it all black. So all the buildings are painted black 100%. And then we do the real painting on them. The roofs are red, and that's just dabbed on. I show you how to make those roofs in an earlier tutorial. And then dry brush on gray in several coats. Each coat a little bit lighter with more white in it. Gives it a little bit of depth. And then we go on to the various details in all the buildings. The woodwork. And I'm doing the little door knockers. That's a silver color. You know, the stones and the arches. You know, this is a really fun part of it. I really like this part of it. You know, different detail work. We're not going to do 100% detail work on the buildings. We'll save that for later. But I'll show you some of the major details, including a lot of buildings have like moss and vines growing up them. A lot of these are particularly old castle buildings. So we're adding that. That's sphagnum moss. Put some Mod Podge or white glue, and then make lines of moss. that white glue will dry clear, you won't see it. You can go right up the height of the building in different spots. I will show you more about that in a future tutorial. And we also at this point start working on the smaller building pieces, little stairwells, little dais, little different subsections of buildings, little stone works and stuff like that. And then that's that, see? Now, it's always a matter of starting with the bigger strokes and then moving on to the smaller details step by step. That's a common thing when you're building anything. So now once those buildings start to be done, we'll place them inside and glue them in place. And see, we're doing those inner buildings first and we work our way out so we have room. The inner buildings are starting to go in, looking really good. Like this part around the back here, it's kind of neat looking. Gonna hang a flag in there. There's a lot of stuff to be done with this, but coming along nicely, it looks really good. I love diorama making. This one's a bit ambitious, but I have a lot of diorama making stuff here on my YouTube channel and on my website, stormthecastle.com. So you might want to give diorama making a try. See, now that all the buildings are done on the inside, now we place those outer courtyard, the middle courtyard walls, and then we can work our way out to the outer buildings. You know, now that we have room for it. But if we did all those outer walls, it'd be difficult to get at the inner buildings. That's why you start in the back end and you work your way out. And that's it. That's what we got. Part 5 of the Storm the Castle diorama. It's starting to look good. We actually have hundreds of miniature figures we're going to paint to add to this at some point. But stick with it. You're going to see how this thing comes out. Thanks for watching. Lots more stuff here on my YouTube channel. Here's some more videos. Part 1 of the Storm the Castle diorama. How to make a diorama waterfall. How about the medieval village there in the lower right, and in the lower left, how about a diorama inside a light bulb? Thank you.